Good morning and welcome to Ed's World, where it's always morning, even in the afternoon. I am your host, Jay Edgar, and returning for the third time this week, we have Jake, the President, CEO, and Supreme Chancellor of Freedom Scoop. Jake, welcome back to Ed's World.
Oh man, this sunshine is so bright this morning that I had to put on my sunglasses. Look at these, see them? They've got stars on them. I stole them from my 5-year-old's girlfriend. It was fantastic.
Your 5-year-old's girlfriend. What a great time to be alive.
Twins. Well, they're not twins, but the girlfriend is.
God bless that child.
What a great America.
Before we get started today, as I always do, I want to have a little bit of an anecdote of what I've been seeing throughout the news today. And I just did a live stream on this last night, talking about what I saw on Twitter. And it's the fact that so many people, there's so much hate going through Twitter right now, so much name calling. And I've encouraged you, Jake, to kind of lay off the name calling and just let these people bury themselves, because that's what they're going to go to, and we can't sink to their level. But I think I found the solution to all of this here. I think when they start to name call, I think we should absolutely 100% encourage them. And I do think I found the perfect meme to put up. You know, after they start to name call, you know you've won the argument, so just comment back with this great picture of Darth Sidious here, and it says, for those of you listening back on the audio platform, good, good. Let the hate flow through you. I will have that linked in the description below if some of you want to copy that to use that as you get people to start name calling at you. And make sure that if you use this picture, you take a screenshot of the block screen so you can collect that block like a trophy.
Collect that block. Like blockchain. You collect these blocks, and then eventually you glue them together, and you have a chain. I don't know. Maybe that's not how that works. I'm not sure.
That's as best of a description of blockchain as I've ever heard in my life. Because I don't think anybody quite knows how it works.
I've got a block right here. It is like in the shape of and then there's one over here too. See, this is like an actual block. You like build a house or a bridge. Anyways. Yeah.
The greatest evidence that somebody has kids from anywhere in the house, that person can pick up toys.
And the funny part is, that was completely unscripted.
Everything here is completely unscripted.
Oh.
Well,
Ed, how are you?
I'm doing good. We've got a couple of little announcements here. As some of you may have seen last night, I have discovered live streaming, and it looks like my laptop can actually handle it. I did a little bit of disk cleanup, so I'm going to play with it a little bit throughout the week, maybe do a couple of little live stream shows to make sure everything can handle it. And possibly next week, I will have my first guest on that's live streamed, so the audience can go ahead and interact with us. And if this works and my laptop can handle it, we might start streaming to other platforms as well. The sky is the limit, and it looks like my laptop doesn't suck as much as it seemed to. Some scheduling is going to be changing here.
You know what does suck? Socialism. Socialism sucks.
Is that going to be in the store? Yeah. I saw that you advertised for that earlier.
That is one of the Freedom Scoop t-shirts, but we'll talk about that later. You just said the word suck. That is the word of the day. The word of the day here is suck. Every time you hear it, take a drink of something, whether it be root beer or regular beer or
I thought anything. We had to run around screaming. The old Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Every time you hear the word suck, you got to run around screaming?
Yeah, the old Pee-wee's Playhouse.
That's not how you get what you want if you run around screaming every time you hear the word suck.
Valid counterpoint. And that's not even the topic of the show today. We do have a packed show going on here as well. Looks like there's some shifting around in the 2020 field. We'll talk about Gillibrand making her grand announcement that she's leaving. We'll talk a little bit about the final debate schedule and some of the shenanigans that went on there, and the rise of somebody else rising up in the ranks on the other side of the aisle. MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell made a great big gaffe on the air and then had to go back and retract it. We'll talk a little bit about that. Hurricane Dorian is bearing it down on some of our friends over in the generational gap aspect of life, so we'll talk about what's going on there and hope that Robert can swim because it sounds like it's going to be a great big one over there. There's some news in the court packing world and what's going to happen in Congress and the Supreme Court coming up, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And we'll close out this show talking about a local politician over here in my neck of the woods that decided to bring the concentration camp narrative back out into the forefront for us to discuss. It is going to be all of this and more on Ed's World. Thanks for watching this show over on YouTube and over on BitChute. And if you like what you see, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That helps YouTube and BitChute tell other people what they should be watching. Ed's World is available on audio platforms, iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play Podcasts. Remember, if you're over on those platforms, go ahead and subscribe to this show. And if you're on iTunes, give us that 5-star rating and a good review. That helps us move up the charts. Ed's World is proudly partnered with the Freedom Scoop Media Group, whose Supreme Chancellor is sitting over there next to us here. Remember, you can go over...
2 thumbs up, because you deserve 2 scoops of ice cream. Yep.
Yeah, everyone else only gets 1.
Only 1.
You can always go over to Freedom Scoop and see this show, see my solo show, see other great podcasters like Stephen Ignoramus and The Generational Gap. Provided, of course, they don't get put underwater over this upcoming event. We are always holding an open casting call for writers because we are looking to expand this site. If you want to write for Freedom Scoop or you know somebody that does, have somebody send me an email. That's edsblogtwitter@gmail.com, and we will see if we can get you a sample article and get you up onto the site. After a lengthy introduction, it is as always time for the most important part of Ed's World. So, Jake, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, guys, that was a great show. Have a good night, and we will see you next week.
It's not the end of the show yet.
Was that not the sign-off?
No.
Oh, fine. Well, as you guys know, I'm Jake from freedomscoop.com. Ed's a part of that. We got Stephen Ignoramus over there. He's pretty cool. He's over there in D.C., and we've got the Generational Gap, who are currently living with the Little Mermaid. Yeah, I think Robert actually assumed the trident of power, and he is currently taking over the Aquaman or whatever. And John posted a picture earlier of him standing on a balcony, I don't know if he was calling seals or what, but it was exciting. So
I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, okay. Maybe he was just on some building at a bar. I don't know, but I get those two confused. So, yeah, most of you guys know who I am. We're over at freedomscoop.com. I got a couple of things I just was figuring I'd throw out there today. From now till eternity, when you go to freedomscoop.com, because you're a J. Edgar fan, use the promo code JEDGAR at checkout and receive 15% off. Yeah, there you go. You got a promo code now, Ed.
This is the first time learning about this too, so that's great.
Oh yeah. So then we can keep hopefully your fabulous host here, Ed, employed. Keep a roof over his head. Make sure he has shoes on his feet. Gets the medical care he needs. All those necessities. I mean, yeah. Without that socialized medicine, we got to do something. So we decided to sell T-shirts and junk. Speaking of the hurricane, so Dorian's bearing down right now in Florida. I know that's a later topic, but we have a T-shirt for sale right now in the Freedom Scoop store. It went live about, 2 hours ago, because all of this just launched literally within hours. So it could be a little buggy, but should be all good. We have a new Hurricane Dorian T-shirt. We're expecting it to make landfall as a Category 5. Could make landfall as a Category 4. Either way, we're not going to do anything to our T-shirts. We're still selling them either way. And all of the profits from the T-shirts sold will go directly to hurricane relief, whether that's building building Robert a new house, maybe. I don't know. It depends on what we need to do. No, we'll donate them, but all profits go to that for every T-shirt sold. That is the Hurricane Dorian T-shirt in the Freedom Scoop store. All that. All right, now enough with the rambling. What do you want to know, Ed?
Well, just a little bit about you. We've had some new subscribers since the last time you've been on, so tell us a bit about where you came from and how your life is now.
I am fantastic. So I came from this wonderful planet called Earth, in a great state called Montana, in a great country called America, which perhaps is the greatest country ever. You got to ask a few people about that. You might get some mixed reviews these days. But that's about it. So I do a lot of social media junk, run a couple of websites. I have some history. I worked with a few campaigns over the years. But now I devote my life solely to that guy in the blue headphones there. I wash his feet and make sure that that gold microphone of his is polished.
Yeah, from 4 states away, even. He's got people for that.
What more do you... Yeah, what more do you expect?
Well,
Anyways, so yeah, that's about it.
you've been kind of an instrumental voice in this little project that we have going to try and make something that's by the people for the people as far as news, because so many of the newscasters out there are elite. But why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into news and alternative media to begin with? Why this is something that interested you so much?
Well, I never have a good answer for that. This is the third time I've been asked, and I change it periodically because, see, I think the reason I really got into it was because we have these crucial voices up top that are kind of swaying people this direction and that direction, but there's not enough people who are just like you and I, saying what needs to be said. And that's really what, like President Trump encapsulated in 2020 or 2016. He spoke to this section of America that hadn't been spoken to. And what we're seeing, though, is that as these bloggers, podcasters, writers get into these organizations, Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, I mean, the gamut, they shift their focus away from everyday Americans, and it tends to take this elitist approach. And so we really wanted to generate something that was you guys. I mean, it's some guy broadcasting from his spare bedroom or his basement or his studio in his garage, wherever it is, and bring it to the people from the people, like it was kind of meant to be. I mean, originally newspapers, their circulation, if they had 30 people reading their newspaper, that was a big newspaper. And there was less people back then, but every town had a paper, and every town had a paper. Everywhere, it was more centralized in the locale. And that's what we're kind of trying to do with Freedom Scoop, is we have these independent media personalities who are speaking to their roots, to where they're from, rather than this broad theological concept like most of the mainstream media tends to do. So if any of that made any sense to you, please email me, because I need to understand it.
That will be linked in the description below. That was something too, because I know that Freedom Scoop had kind of fallen fallow for a little while and had just kind of fallen to the wayside for you. You had more things going on. But it's, I was there when you first started it out. I was on there right away. You gave me a password to start loading it up. And after it fell, I kind of realized that, I listen to Shapiro, I listen to Klavan, and they're great guys. They're great guys to listen to. I have my differences with Shapiro from time to time. But, I mean, for the most part, Shapiro's worth millions of dollars as a lawyer, not even counting his holdings into Daily Wire. Klavan has written several movies. Their other partner, Knowles, is a Hollywood actor. Walsh is kind of the only one that's on there that's a by the people, for the people kind of guy, and he's even got a little bit of an elitist attitude. These are not your everyday people, and I think that's who we're trying to talk to, is the everyday people.
That's who we should be. You almost said that and you caught yourself, but that's true. Uh, you do. You tend to change when you get to a certain point, and I don't know. I just try to be real, and that's what I think that our goal is. Is we're all just people, you know. Sure, you might drop an F-bomb here or there or drink a Budweiser, but that's who America is, you know.
Absolutely.
And yeah, yeah. So there you go. Speaking of which, so on the Blaze, there's a great guy, Steven Crowder,
Hmm.
and Crowder early on had Owen Benjamin on a lot. I don't
Hmm.
know what happened to Owen Benjamin. If
He went
he kind
nuts.
of
Have you
stopped,
been on his
yeah,
Instagram?
no, no,
He
I
stopped
actually
taking his
haven't.
meds and he went nuts.
But so you were saying elitist actors and whatnot, and I remember last night we were watching The House Bunny with Anna Faris. Have you seen that?
I've seen about half of it.
Oh, it's great. It's a great movie, and there's Owen Benjamin there. He's playing this, I don't know, Playboy Mansion, I don't know, drink maker guy. It's pretty funny.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's a good movie. I don't know. I try not to fault people in Hollywood. They usually get polluted. There's only a handful of them that are, straight shooters. Like you got like Kurt Russell and Adam Sandler and
You know,
a few of them on our team, but not as many as. Anyway, so if you could keep your head, good luck.
DePaulo is another good name to put out there because
Hmm.
he's
Nick DiPaolo is funny as heck,
yeah.
and he wouldn't say heck if he were on here.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually, when I get done with this, I want to go in the other room and watch the Dennis Leary roast. And he was
Yeah,
on
you,
that.
you don't put DiPaolo on when anybody who's over the age of 50 or under the age of 15 is in the room, because some of the things said might give them all both a heart attack or
Yeah.
corrupt them for the rest of their life. Either way, so.
He's a Boston
But I
guy.
love him either way. He's great. He's great. He is a Boston guy. Yeah, yeah. So what you got on the docket, Ed? What's next?
Well, I think it's time. Usually I'll put this later in the show, but since this was the biggest news of the week, we'll go with 2020 to start with. And the first thing to announce on 2020 Watch is Kirsten Gillibrand is no longer running for president.
Game.
Gillibrand was one of the first people to launch her political campaign, and a lot of the independent voices out there thought that she was going to be the one that was going to provide the most threat to the president, but she could never really get out of her own way as far as polling went, and she really didn't go anywhere, which is odd because, again, like I say, most people thought she was going to be the electable one, but she is out, and she is going to continue her newfound passion of going for gun control. Did you see anything on this already?
Oh, sorry, I was sobbing. Tears of joy. Nah, I don't know. She's a nut. She's like half of these other nuts out there. I mean, really, what did she have that was different for policy as let's say Joe Biden?
Hmm.
Okay, what did Gillibrand versus Joe Biden bring to the table?
A vagina?
That's about it. So now we get into intersectional politics and we start getting into these ideological debates, dividing people based on categories such as race or gender or subspecies, or I mean, all these different. It was your mom. Did your mom ever eat a crustacean? I mean, do you remember back in 20? Oh, I think it was '08. Yeah, it was '08. Barack Hussein O got slammed because he was talking to Iowa farmers about arugula.
I don't remember that.
And oh man, and a bunch of the Iowa farmers had the same look you did. Like, what the heck is arugula? I have no idea. And that was pretty much it. And then they said, oh, he's speaking over everybody's head. He still won. But that's really it. I mean, they bring nothing new to the table. They're all these elitist politicians speaking to intersectionalists who continuously argue that such and such is holier than thou because of these traits of being repressed or whatever you want to call it. It's crazy. So Gillibrand brings nothing to the table, nothing new. She's like one shade above Swalwell. Like I think we need the 50 Shades of Democrats here,
Hmm.
you know? And she's just one shade above Swalwell. She has like a little bit more to bring to the table. Like I mean, he had a wrinkly flag. Um, she had some weird anecdotal stories of her middle school haircut. And that was about it. I mean, we won't remember her in 5 years.
Well, that may or may not be true. I mean, the thing with Gillibrand that always made me so nervous about her is the fact that she actually came from a very Republican district. I always say that Kamala Harris has never run against a Republican and has no idea how to do that. Gillibrand did, and she could win. Now, she changed her ways to a completely socialist nature when she went to represent the entire state of New York instead of one small upstate district. But she knows how to win in both situations. She can talk to both sides from what I can see on this situation. And I don't know, that just made me feel like she was dangerous.
Nah.
No, you don't think? Well, obviously she's out at this point, but
No, 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 no. I get what you're saying. I
yeah.
do. I get what you're saying. But the problem with the Democrat primary is okay. So I know you're gonna cantilever into Roar and Joe Walsh later on, but the thing is if okay, if a Koch brother ran as a Democrat,
Hmm.
right? A far righty ran as a Democrat and said, "I'm not going to primary Trump. I'm going to take him on," right?
Hmm.
They'd lose the primary just like that. Okay?
Instantly.
Because if you are anywhere to the center, the people who are currently engaged in the political climate are so far to the left right now or to the right now and constantly moving apart that you will lose the primary. There are no moderate voters right now, and it's because we're in the court of public opinion. Not a single vote has been cast. Okay,
That's a fair point.
all these candidates are dropping out. Okay, Swalwell could have been the best candidate ever. Who was that guy who caused the stock market to crash last month? Uh,
Xi Jinping?
no, 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 no. The guy who dropped out. Trump was like, "Hey, he dropped out. Seth something or other."
Oh, Seth
And
Moulton.
yeah, Seth Moulton, and he caused the stock market to crash, and we all cried, but then it recovered, and all that. Um, Seth Moulton could have been the best candidate out there. Seth Moulton obviously thought he was. His kids probably did. The 25 people that knew who he was probably thought he was the best candidate out there. And there's no proof that he wasn't, because no votes have been cast.
Right.
So alls we know is that people donated to Kamala and Biden and Warren and De Blasio. He's still in, right? No?
Yes, he is still in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Inslee from Washington. He has all I don't know, 20 or 30 of his voters. And a couple of people for that guy from Colorado, whatever his name is, because nobody cares. No, that's pretty much the field, though. That's seriously. Most of these guys, I actually know who they are. But the point is, most of America doesn't. My governor, Bullock, is running right now, and most of America has no idea who he is.
From what I've
They
heard
don't know.
from other Montanans, most of Montanans didn't know who Bullock was until he ran for president.
Well, okay, so he is Mr. I am pro-gun, I am pro-life, I am pro-this, pro-that, prohibition, pro-everything, except for the fact that he gets there and he vetoes every stinking bill that is good for the state. But nobody looks at his voting record, so we're glad he's running for president, because he's not running for governor. I mean, he's termed out, but, he's not running for Senate either, though. So,
Oh, you guys
yeah,
have term
so
limits on governor?
you know what? I believe we do.
Oh.
I know that this is his last term, whether it's the official term limit or whether it's his, like he announced this was his last term. I'm not 100% sure. I could probably Google it. The old Google book knows everything. So, anyways, that's kind of where I'm at. I think that unless you're ultra, ultra far left, you are not going to win the nomination. So, yeah.
That's good.
Term limits. I'm Googling it.
I see that. Cenk Uygur would be proud.
Yes, he would.
Google
Yeah,
it!
I hate that. I hate that guy. That guy is... He gets under my skin. Okay, Montana governor term limits. Yes, okay, so our Constitution, which we wrote in 1972. Not kidding you. Calls for a 4-year term for governor commencing on the first Monday. The term is limited to 8 years in any 16-year period.
So there's technically not term limits.
No, so you could run. You could run over and over and over and over and over and over, but you'd have to like run and then take a session off and then run again and then take a session off. So I wonder if anybody can see us right now. Can they?
I
see you clear as day.
Yeah, we're streaming well, but it looks like my my camera just froze, my good camera. So I don't know if this is such a good camera anymore.
I don't know, but if we're still recording and this doesn't get it cut out, we better make it interesting.
Yeah, well, probably has to do some on-air
got a monkey thing.
here.
Look at this. See, I got a monkey. That's kind of cool. And he moves when you move him. See that?
All right, we are going.
That's really neat.
I am going to be right back. We
All
will
right,
be
bye,
right
Ed.
back with you. Well, it looks like I don't have to cut down and go to my backup camera. I just had to change a setting over here in my system, and we are back going. So, we left off talking about Jill Brand out, and now we're going into the... Did your microphone go back out? Because we had that problem on before. Or are you just screwing with me?
No.
Oh.
All right, live production value. See, that's what these people pay to see.
That's right.
So
we're going to go back in and we're going to talk about the final debate schedule because that has come out in the past week. Looks like we are going to be down to 10 candidates. Most of the candidates didn't make the cut, including Jill Brand, who is no longer running for president. But interestingly enough, there was also a debate going on as to whether or not Tulsi Gabbard should be included in the series of people who are going to be on the debate stage this time. Most of her fans and many people in America wanted to see her go, but it seems like the DNC was doing everything that they could to keep her out of this. Did you hear anything on this story?
Well,
I know Tim Pool was big on it, so.
The DNC tends to keep out certain people. People they like.
No,
That's it.
They bring people in that they like.
No. They kick them out. I mean, come on. Look at this, okay? You show me a candidate that's running right now that is similar to Bernie Sanders that's running this year for the Democrat primary.
Kamala Harris? Elizabeth Warren?
Anybody else? Come on, you got to have at least one more.
Biden?
Anybody else?
Inslee? No, he's not running anymore.
Okay. Everybody on that debate stage is just like Sanders.
Oh, that's true.
What did they do to him in 2016? They kicked him out.
Yeah, they stabbed him in the back, and then he turned around and he sucked him off.
So if they kick you out, that could be a good sign. So, yeah, I don't know. I would say that would be that's my hot take there. If they're keeping you off the debate stage, it's because they like you, even though they don't want to tell you that in person. Well, I don't know, they're all chicken.
Tulsi's going to run again in the future, and she knew coming straight out that there was no chance that she was going to win. She's been too far behind for too long.
Yeah.
But on the other end of that, And Styx actually did a piece on this, and I think he was spot on this. I think the DNC was actually afraid of her getting up on this stage.
Well, they were afraid of Sanders in 16. I mean, they thought Sanders was going to go up there and say what he actually meant. And well, I mean, in the final weeks of the election, and they thought oh well, I don't know if they so much thought he would lose, as so much he'd blow their cover. You know what I'm saying? And I think that whoever wins it is going to take a sharp right and pivot to the right immediately after a couple of people start dropping out. I mean, when it's down to 2 or 3, I bet you Warren is going to be this super pro budget hawk.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee it. I mean, and it'll be interesting because, but I don't know. I think that should be her Indian name is Budget Hawk. Warren like Budget Hawk. Yeah, yeah.
Well, the thing with Tulsi that Styx had said, and I actually tend to agree with, is, and it goes right back to Warren, after she took down Kamala Harris, and I mean, you watch the poll numbers from Kamala after Tulsi took her down. She just fell off the face of the earth after almost winning the debate that she had the first time through. I think that they were deathly afraid that Tulsi was going to get up there and do the exact same thing to Warren.
Would you say that Tulsi took Kamala to her knees?
No, I think what's his name from California did that.
Oh, yeah, that guy. So I think Warren. I don't know. So you think Tulsi was a tomahawk after going after Warren?
Yeah, I think she was going for the scalp. To make another crude joke.
Can you scalp Warren? Can she be scalped? Can an Indian be scalped?
No, but a white woman could.
Yeah. So, we better do a DNA test just to confirm. I want to know what percentage of, like, albino Joe Biden is.
Well, he had dark hair in the 70s, so...
Well, he doesn't anymore. I think he should say that he's part of that minority group.
He doesn't anymore because he's 90,000 years old.
Well, so what? I mean, so Darth Sidious and him hung out in the day. Big deal. See? Tie that back to your intro. Yeah. Some of those guys back there that are listening in, they're going to go, oh, I remember that reference way back when. Yeah. Well, how are we?
I don't know. I would like to see Tulsi get further along than she did. I looked at some of the polls too, and it looked like they were kind of cherry picking some of the polls to make sure that she fell under the 2% mark that she needed.
Okay, Gabbard, Gillibrand in a boxing match. Who wins?
Gabbard. She
Gabbard?
served the country.
And you think she'd beat Gillibrand?
In a boxing match, yes.
Okay, what about down home backyard scrapping where they're pulling each other's hair and throwing sand in the eyes?
Gabbard.
Think Gabbard would win again?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's a buff surfer chick that went through the National Guard. She can't comment on anything right now because she's doing her National Guard 2 weeks right now.
All right, so Gabbard with really scary assault rifle versus Warren with the tomahawk and a bow and arrow on horseback. Who wins? The American people.
I like that.
All right.
Well,
so
I got a couple more stories in this topic here. It appears that in addition to calling for free college tuition for everybody and eliminating all current student debt, Sanders has now taken it up a bar and said that now we need to eliminate all medical debt, in addition to getting rid of all medical costs for people going forward. What do you think about this, and what does this do to the economy?
What if we just eliminated all debt? Just no more debt. You owe something, it's gone.
Well, that would crash our economy, first off.
That's my platform. No debt. I am not a crook. No, okay. So, if you eliminate debt, if the government does not pay for it, if you default some sort of a loan, uh, you are stealing from the company that you originally signed the contract to loan you the money,
Hmm.
right?
Absolutely.
So if the government does pay for it, who is going to pay for that payment? The American people.
Hmm.
Mostly the corporations who loaned you the money in the first place.
Well, and you are too, because with the extra spending power, you are going to be spending more taxes. No, this is
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
way to hide the taxation that they're going to take from you.
So essentially, no matter what, you're screwing somebody over. And that's kind of what it boils down to. Uh, Debt forgiveness is only acceptable if both parties agree.
Hmm.
So the way it works is you have a payee and a paid, right? Somebody who's getting money and somebody who's paying money.
Yep.
So if you have a college debt, somebody is getting money, be it the colleges.
Hmm.
Somebody is paying that money.
Well,
Now, it may
the
not.
college already got the money. It's the federal government that guaranteed the loan.
Okay, so very well. So the federal government, right?
Hmm.
They now hold the loan,
Hmm.
right? And they are going to be getting that money from the people.
One way
But
or another.
if that debt is forgiven, then the federal government is going to hold that debt, and they're still going to have that paid off because they have interest accrued on that debt,
Hmm.
one way or another. Because I mean, it goes to the bond market. So we
Absolutely.
buy bonds to fund our government because we're purchasing debt that the government has. So if you pay off all of the college debt, if you forgive it, you're going to crash the bond market right there. And then you're going to start seeing taxes go up to cover that.
Hmm.
You know, it's circular logic.
I
It's
can't
like
believe
saying,
there's a bond market anyway right now. I wouldn't buy a bond. Not right now, anyway.
well, it depends. Okay, are we going to take over Quebec next year? Probably not. Are we going to buy Greenland? I wish. But unless something like that happens, I think the bonds are going to be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, and if we bought Greenland, the bonds would be better. But that's about it, you know. Yeah, that's pretty much where we sit right now. I don't think we're going to move very far. We might have a micro recession because we're coming into the election. It always kind of dives a little bit in an election year,
Yeah.
even though our election years are getting longer and longer and longer.
Yep.
So I think we'll be fine long term, though. Yep,
You
that's
think
my
so?
prediction. Well, I watched the VIX pretty closely, and the VIX hasn't been getting out of hand. Internationally, markets seem to be doing better than expected. I mean, we knew Germany was going to crash. Well, they're still alive. I mean, they've sunk to the bottom of the ocean, but at least they're in a submarine because they create a bubble around themselves. China kind of did the same thing. I mean, China's market was way up today. It shouldn't have been, but it was. Um, I mean, they're artificially. So I think that India is going to be the lifeboat of the world. Yeah, crazy.
That's a scary thought.
The people who are destroying Kashmir right now and have 25-lane roads with no lines drawn on them so people go everywhere, they're going to keep everybody afloat because I think China is going to collapse and we're going to have a big need for this labor sector to be filled. And maybe Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Singapore, maybe they can, you know, compensate a little bit, but I think India is going to be the one that has to. India or Brazil. I mean, Brazil could kick it into gear after they burn their forests down and have plenty of room to build buildings,
Yeah.
you know. Hey, what happened to Bolsonaro? Did you hear about that? Did he get a forgiveness from Macron and get his money or no?
I did not hear that. I would have to look into that off mic.
Yeah, because I think Bolsonaro was like, Macron, You're mean to me. I don't like you. And Macron was like, I'm trying to give you money. How can I be mean to you? Bolsonaro's like, well, you called me a mean guy. You insulted me, and so I'm not taking your money. And Macron's like, doesn't money make you happy? And Bolsonaro's like, no. That was pretty much the end of their conversation. That's the last I heard because it went out of the media because it wasn't looking good for that French guy over there. So here's a concept, and I haven't looked into it very much, but it kind of made me think the other day. So everybody's panicking about drinking out of plastic straws, right? And the world is getting polluted because we have this giant, yeah, there you go. We have a giant plastic island in the middle of the Pacific that's killing off the world's fish, and we're all going to die. Because everything that happens is catastrophic, apocalyptic, and we all die from it. So, uh, so I read something the other day. I don't remember if CNN or somebody was publishing a report that like 90% of the world's oxygen comes from the ocean. So we have to keep the oceans healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It could have been, maybe it was 80%. I think it was 80%. Okay? So then, congruently, like the next story over, was discussing how the Amazon is crucial to the environment of the world because it produces like 60% of the world's oxygen from trees. And I'm like, yeah, but that 60% from trees is only 20% of the world's total oxygen, and that's not excluding, the grass and stuff growing around my house. Or that is excluding that. So it's really the Amazon, if we burnt it all to the ground, would only contribute to a tiny, tiny portion of the world's oxygen.
Mm-hmm. And the world would adapt as well.
Yeah, so why are we all panicking about the Amazon burning down? I mean, don't get me wrong. I like those monkeys and the Pikachus and everything that comes out of there. They're fantastic, But that's about it. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. If it burns down, it sucks. But as long as we get our monkeys and our Pikachus, that's all I care about.
Well, before we get out of 2020, I do want to bring up one little story from the other side of the aisle. And that is, we talked a little bit about this on the show last week, but it was still a new thing, and nobody really knew who the guy was. We all thought when we heard Joe Walsh, we were talking about the guy from the Eagles.
Roaring Joe.
But it appears that Chicago Representative Joe Walsh is going to continue his plan to run for president and primary Donald Trump. Now, we see that primary challengers in election years don't always fare well for the incumbent, as we saw with Ross Perot, but I get this feeling this is going to be different this time. What do you think about Roaring Joe? Has life been good to him so far?
Well, I think Trump could send out about 3 tweets and get all of Joe's Twitter followers to quit his page.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are people from the media anyways.
Yeah, they're just looking for the story.
The biggest fear I have, and I don't know if this will actually happen, but I'm surprised the Democrats haven't launched a campaign to register Democrats as Republicans to vote for Joe in the primary.
Well,
that would be the best thing the Democrats could do. If they got every Democrat to go out and register Democrat and vote for Joe over Trump, that'd be the best thing they could do.
I mean, and that's fair, too, because you'll have a split primary. You'll get Joe on the debate stage, which I can't wait to see. Maybe we'll get Weld up there, too. But I understand the concept of sowing chaos. I mean, I look at the incumbency, I look at the polls, and I look at the fact that even with Bill Weld and Joe Walsh in there, it looks like right now Trump is going to be the nominee. So in Wisconsin, we have open primaries. I see no reason not to pick up a Democrat primary and try and sow chaos, or a primary ballot and try and sow chaos into it. I don't know who's all going to be in there by the time that rolls around, but I mean, I'll vote in the Democrat primary. It's open. I'm allowed to.
Well, Who would you vote for?
To sow the most amount of chaos, probably Bernie.
Bernie?
Bernie won this state.
Yeah, but he's an old white guy.
In 2016, Bernie won this state.
You need, like, a gay, black, Latino. I know, you can be a black and Latino at the same time. Get off my case, people. Maybe, like, Buddhist. I don't know. That's who you need to vote for. Find that guy.
Yeah, but that guy's not running.
Oh, why not? He's the perfect candidate.
Because the DNC hasn't found him yet.
Ah, rats. Well, I would vote for Biden because he's an old white guy. And that's what old white guys are supposed to vote for, old white guys. And I'm not quite there yet, but I need the practice. So, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm older than you are.
Yeah, probably. But that Joe Walsh guy, okay, he's not going to go anywhere. I think he's going to lose. Because Trump will just go up on stage and say, Joe Walsh, you're a loser. You're a loser, and you're going to lose. And that's pretty much it. And he'll lose.
Well, he'll counter with the fact that life's been good to him so far. He's got a mansion, forgets the price.
Yeah, because he was a senator.
He was a representative.
He was a representative. Yeah, he was a state rep.
Yeah.
Okay? So, I don't know. I think he's going to lose. Because he's a loser. Pretty much.
Well, and two, I mean, I think his chances would have been better to stay in as an incumbent if he was in another place. But, I mean, he's representing Illinois 8. You're practically touching Chicago at that point.
Yeah?
That's like Elgin, Geneva, west suburbs, southwest suburbs.
Geneva, Switzerland?
No, Geneva, Illinois.
Man, he'll win all the rich guys.
No, Geneva, Illinois, which is also winning all the rich guys.
You ever had a red cream soda?
Yes, I have. It's delicious.
Red cream soda.
Barks is not endorsing this podcast or any of the people in it.
Why not? Maybe if they endorse us, you know, make some money off of that deal. Barks, if you want to pay me to say your name on this podcast, so be it.
You just did it for free. I can't even get a Quick Trip to sponsor me.
Fine. Quick Trip? See, we have Zip Trip here.
Yeah.
Kind of like Quick Trip.
Kind of.
All
right. Last three questions I always ask when we are in this topic. You've answered these questions before. You had some pretty zany answers the last time you were on here, but by the statistics right now, before we go into the debate, looking at what we're seeing right now, which of the Democrat candidates do you believe is going to be the nominee for president to stand up against Trump, statistically only?
Ooh, statistically only, it's going to be Warren.
You think? I think they're going to bat for her, and I've thought that for a very long time. If they can't get her in there, they're going to super delegate her in there.
The only thing that could stand in her way, and this is going to sound completely wild, is Andrew Yang. I think Yang is Warren's Achilles heel.
How so?
He makes sense, and he has a big following.
Yeah, he is kind of cult-like, isn't he?
He is cult-like, and everything he says is fairly logical. I mean, there are some problems, of course, with what he says, but he says Americans could really use $1,000. All of them. And then Warren's counter is, what about the rich? And he goes, yeah, them too. And Warren's counter is like, but the rich are rich. And he goes, yeah, give them money. And that's pretty much it. So I think Yang is Warren's weakness. I don't think Biden can hit Warren anymore. I think Kamala is, I don't know, she's got her heels. Yeah. She's in a death spiral right now. Spartacus, I mean, I haven't seen him in the news in quite a while, so he might regain some momentum towards the end. But we'll see.
Beto will relaunch his campaign for the fourth time.
Oh man, did you see Beto make a hamburger?
No, I didn't. I've heard about it
Oh,
though.
that was the funniest thing ever. Okay, so Beto's like, "This is how I make a hamburger," and he has this plate, and it has a couple of pieces of English muffin on it and some broccoli, and he's like, "So you just pull it off of here and you put it on," and he like stacks these two patties offset on top of each other. It was horrible. It was like the worst hamburger ever. Like if you've been to a dive diner, yeah, that is good eating compared to Beto's food. Okay, he's like that lady in high heels with the torn up tights who's 65 years old with the cigarette ash falling into your hamburger. Okay, you'd prefer her to give you a hamburger than Beto. I'm not even kidding you. Yeah. So
Oh,
Beto's hamburgers suck.
well,
He should not open a burger joint.
that's definitely interesting. But he's going to have to find something to do after this presidential primary because he's currently not employed. But now, of the 23 Democrats that are still running, if something should
Yep.
happen that Trump can't get to the end and Pence can't seal the deal out of everything, out of the 23, which is the lesser of 23 evils? Which of the candidates would you like to see as president?
Julian Castro.
Defend.
He will do nothing.
Fair point.
I seriously, I don't think he'll get anything done. Um, you ask Castro, Castro, what are you doing for the country? And says, nothing. You say, do you have any plans, Castro? Warren has all those plans and she can't defend him. No, no, no. What do you have for a plan, Castro? Oh, well, all these people with all these plans, but they can't get them done. You're like, well, what's your plan on the economy? Oh, man. My plan is to tell you how bad their plans are.
So
So, I
we'll
don't
get
know.
another Coolidge, is what you're saying.
Yeah, nothing would get, you wouldn't even remember him in 20 years, except you'd be like, is he related to Raul? That's about it. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Castro's the most inoculate one. I think Biden's just irritating at this point. Um, I don't think he'll get anything done either, but he'd sure try.
I
He
think he,
wants a legacy.
I think he would die. I'm not gonna lie.
You think he'd die?
Yeah.
That's what everybody's been saying about that RBG, and now they want to stack the bench with 25 more of her.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
we'll be talking about that a little later. Lastly, for pure entertainment, out of all of the candidates that we have running, which do you think would be the most entertaining to see debate against Trump?
is Swalwell still considered a candidate?
Nope, he's out.
Ah, man, because I would like to see him debate Trump. Uh, Harris. Probably Harris.
Yeah.
I mean,
Harris, Miss, I've never run
Trump
against a
would
Republican for anything.
Trump would probably take her to her knees. He'd be like, "Look, she's so weak. She's so weak. That Stormy over there, she's so. I mean, Kamala, she's so weak. I mean, what is a Kamala? Is that like a camel, or what is it?" So it'd be hilarious. Mm-hmm.
All right, we have spent 45 minutes talking about 2020. Let's talk about some of the other things.
45 minutes.
Yes, 45 minutes.
These guys are gonna be so bored. We need to talk about 2030.
Well, let's talk
Who's
about
gonna run it?
MSNBC instead. I know you had a spicy
Gross.
take on Twitter the other. Yeah, it was today earlier that you are proud
Gross.
that people think that MSNBC is news.
Oh yeah, they do.
I don't mind
They really do.
MSNBC. I think that they make their biases known. So I can go into this with a clear head about what they're trying to say. It's not like CNN where they're trying to feign objectivity or Fox where it's we're fair and balanced and left.
Uh, I think MSNBC. Well, okay. So, first off, if you look at most lies perpetrated by a news network, MSNBC has to be up near the top. I don't know the statistics, but I bet you they're way up there. Um,
Well, I
They
bet you if
have
you asked Twitter, it would be faux news.
they actually have less of a budget than Freedom Scoop does. And we operate on next to nothing. Okay? They're hemorrhaging money.
Yeah, I've
And
heard that.
that's the problem. If you don't have a clientele that likes what you want and you have overpriced talking heads that are just kind of doing your zombie like Bubba Hotep bidding, you know, uh, you're never going to get anywhere. So yeah, I think MSNBC is garbage. They're trying to be like the alt left screamers. They're like the Alex Jones of the alt left. I'm serious.
Yeah.
They are.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of lies that MSNBC told, on Rachel Maddow's show this past week, Lawrence O'Donnell came out and said that he got a hot tip that during the investigation of Deutsche Bank these past few months, somebody came in with information to him to inform him that the loan documents from Deutsche Bank all showed that the bank could not approve Trump because he was too high of a risk, and all of his loans came back with a Russian oligarch as a cosigner.
Well, first off, okay, I don't know if she likes being referred to as a he. That Lawrence Rosie O'Donnell. We might want to be a little nicer to her. Um, oh, are they separate people?
Yeah, they're separate people.
Oh, rats. Darn it. Hey, did you hear Ricky Lake died?
I did not.
Yeah. No, I just killed the joke.
Huh.
Did you hear Ellen DeGeneres died? Yeah, they found her face down in Ricky Lake.
Oh.
But okay. So, back to MSNBC. They're complete garbage. So, Lawrence O'Donnell goes on screeching about some Russian oligarch and has this source that says Trump funneled money through a Deutsche Bank account,
Mm-hmm.
and that account turns out to maybe not exist, maybe exist. Nobody really knows because nobody knows who the source is.
Right.
And it just goes right along with everything that's been reported for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now. It's all garbage.
Yeah.
It's all fake news. And they keep getting away with it because of our the way libel laws are written. You can say whatever you want about Trump and he has no recourse.
No, that's absolutely true, but it seems that MSNBC does have a recourse to this because after it was found out that this source did not go through MSNBC's rigorous verification process, which we've all seen Rachel Maddow's show, we know it's not that rigorous. O'Donnell came out and was forced to apologize for the fact.
Oh, hold that thought. Ed, I got breaking news right here.
What's that?
Ooh, this is big. An unverified source just told me that Rachel Maddow and Kamala Harris are in an intimate relationship, love triangle with Joe Biden.
Did that go through Freedom Scoop's rigorous verification standard?
I vigorously vetted it, and this source is legit. Okay, oh man, we need to get that to the presses. So, yep, there it is. It's true. We may redact it later, but it is 100% verifiably, possibly correct. So we need to ensure that everybody knows that Rachel Maddow, Kamala Harris are in a love triangle like this shape with Joey Biden, as far as we know from our unnamed, unverifiable, undocumented, illegal, potentially an immigrant source. So, yeah.
Well, that's one of the things that came out with the O'Donnell story as well, because as he was putting this out here on Rachel Maddow's show, he kept saying, if this is true, this could mean, if this is true, if this is verified. So he was just putting that out there for the SEALs and MSNBC's audience to lap up and suck up and start putting out around the Twitter to try and make the Donald look bad. But he was
Well,
forced to go back and retract the statement.
well, you can say whatever you want. I mean, there are garbage publications all the time that publish what, it's that clickbaity type headline, you know? So, uh, the question is do people want to listen to it? You know?
And I
Well,
think that's absolutely important.
there's a select group of our population that loves Alex Jones screaming about gay frogs. You know? Hey. Now, I'm not faulting you for it either because gay frogs, gay frogs, gay frogs. But on the other side, there are still thousands of Americans who literally believe that Vlad Putin is hiding underneath Trump's desk right now. Like, at this second, okay? And we're not talking, like, figuratively. They literally think he is there. That's the problem.
Yeah, and that's going to be all over my comment section now because of that. Because you said that. 10,000 upvotes, too.
Yep. Well, Vlad, if you're listening, we cannot verify this. So, there you go.
Well, O'Donnell came out. O'Donnell came out and retracted the statement, saying, of course, that it didn't go through MSNBC's rigorous verification process, but after, and this is the point that really got me, and O'Donnell has since deleted the tweet, but before he did, Alyssa Milano put out this tweet as if what Lawrence O'Donnell had said was true, even though he had just got done retracting it, and it said, "Hey, Trump supporters, connect the dots," in parentheses, "for fuck's sake." Now, as you can see by the image, of course, that this tweet is deleted because O'Donnell went ahead and got rid of it because it drug the MSNBC network down. But the fact that Milano saw this and decided that she needed all of her supporters to go in the army and start the mafia and get the government overthrown because Trump was in it and some unverified information was out there, that's, the truth, or what is it? A lie gets around the world before the truth gets its shoes on. Is that how this phrase goes?
Not at MSNBC. The phrase goes, we make the truth, and then we tell you if it's a lie or not. So, but I don't know. Yeah, I think that's how the phrase goes. And the garbage there is, Alyssa Milano is an actress, okay? So what she knows is what you know.
Yeah.
She knows nothing more than what you know. And the downside is she can be wrong. She can be wrong over and over and over and over again. And every time somebody watches one of her shows, what was it? Was she on Charmed?
Yes.
Was that her show? Charmed?
She was on
Maybe
Who's the
something
Boss
else?
Before that.
And Three's Company or something like that.
No, she's not old enough for Three's Company.
She wasn't on Three's Company?
No, she's like
She
only
wasn't
a year or
the-
two older than I am.
She wasn't that single guy who lived with all those girls?
No.
She didn't play him?
No, that guy's dead.
Oh.
That's John Ritter.
Huh. Poor
Don't
Ritter.
besqueech the name or names of the dead on my show.
That's an
Come
insult
on, he
to
can't
call
defend himself.
Oh. Anyway, so yeah, I think that it's utter nonsense. She tweets out something that's to her whatever, a couple 100,000 fans on Twitter, and it gets retweeted around the world 6,000 times. Hey, did you hear Jack Dorsey got hacked?
Yeah, I did.
Oh man, that's nuts. That was wild. I was like, what?
He
Out
got
of all
hacked
the
by the
people
same
that-
guy that got into Steven's Discord server, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Because it was the same content.
Seriously. The guy hacks everybody, apparently. His name's all over the place. Anyway, so, yeah, that's what Milano needs to do. She needs to say, oh, I was hacked for 3 years. Never even had a Twitter. That's what she should do.
What is Twitter?
Will this negatively affect her career?
What career?
Her career on Three's Company.
I mean, can Insatiable get any lower of ratings? That's the last thing she was on. Now, I like that show. I'll give it that. But Everyone else hated
Didn't
it.
even know there was a. I didn't even know there was a show called Insatiable.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It has the one of the Disney girls is on it now.
One of the Disney girls, like a Disney princess,
No, Debbie
like
Ryan is the star.
Debbie Ryan.
Yeah,
You know all of these names. I was
I
gonna
live
say
for
like Hannah
trivia.
Montana or
I live for
Hannah
trivia. What do you
Montana or
expect?
trivia. I see. I don't know. I don't know any of these people. I know. I know who Milano is
Yeah.
because I like Milano cookies, and she happens to share the same name. So every time I'm Googling, new types of Milano, she pops up, and I have to look at her, and I'm like, why? And that's about it. Yeah.
Oh, she was a knockout when
I
she was younger. I'll give her that.
I thought I thought Charmed Milano was some sort of Lucky Charms flavored cookie. So yeah, there you go. That's your next big buy at the grocery store. Charmed Milanos.
Anyway, no, I don't think this affects her career because she's turned her career completely into activism at this point.
I go up on some ridiculous tangent. You just buff it off like, yeah, no, whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares? We'll have another guest next week, folks. It'll be more interesting. So, what do you got on? What do you got on next?
Let's talk about the hurricane that's bearing down on our friends right now. So,
Oh,
as we can
poor
see
John.
by the picture that's about to come up on the screen here, it looks like Hurricane Dorian has become a Category 5. It just ripped through the Bahamas and it's headed straight for Orlando. So we'll see what happens with John and Robert when it
Yep.
hits there. I know they have canceled their stream for last night because, well, John wasn't going to be there. He actually tried to get me to do it, but I was doing this last night, and yeah, they've got the hurricane coming, so their stream could be knocked out at any second as well. It looks like it's actually supposed to make landfall at about 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Well, what I'll tell you right now is it's getting so bad there that, like, Mickey's having to use one of Goofy's shoes as a boat in Disney World, It's ridiculous. They're starting to flood already. I saw Jupiter Beach, that's down there somewhere south of Orlando. Anyways, Jupiter Beach has storm surge that's already breaking over the piers.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it's going to be crazy. Tell you what.
Well, this is one of the things, too, because this, of course, is going to be politicized, and it already has been to an extent, because there is a D in the initial for Dorian, the hurricane that's headed over there, and that means that this is the fourth major tropical storm to crop up on the U.S. side of the Atlantic Ocean. This was supposed to be a year that was peppered by hurricanes left and right. Climate change was supposed to destroy the United States with hurricanes. And nothing really seemed to materialize out of this because, for one reason or another, this was just a slow hurricane season. I mean, this is the first
Yeah.
thing we're hearing about, except for if you listen to Rush, he was talking about the fact that there was a small thunderstorm up in the North Atlantic that his weather alerts came out and told him was a tropical storm.
Well, so so last year was it Michael was last year?
Yeah, we got all the way to M.
So in the 60s, before this silly naming went in, I mean, we had some weird names, but in the 60s there were two tropical hurricanes. I think they're Cat 5s. I think one was like 69 and one was in 63.
Okay.
One after the other, and they just swamped down south. And before that, it had been like there was one in the 20s and one in the 30s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the giant hurricanes took a hiatus for a few years. I think one hit in like 82, and then one hit in like 90. What was it? What was Andrew? Was that 93 or something like that? 96,
I
90
believe
something.
that was 1996.
96.
Mhm.
So, if you notice this progression, it seems like we have a couple, and then we have a few years off, and then we have a couple, and then we have a few years off. So, I bet you if we were keeping records, let's say in 1790, you'd see the exact same thing. I mean, what is it? Hurricane 3, was it? Hurricane 3 was like the strongest hurricane ever to make landfall in the United States, and that was in the 30s.
Hmm.
So if global warming is causing these hurricanes to progressively get worse, why isn't Dorian Hurricane 3? You know, why aren't we seeing 200 plus winds destroy the eastern seaboard every week? We're not. But I did like that guy's hot take, that guy who solved the hurricane problem. Did you see that, Ed?
Would that be Trump firing a nuclear missile into a hurricane, or am I thinking of something
Oh,
else?
no, that was great. That was Sharknado. Yeah, we need to do that. Okay. But no, 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 no. I posted it the other day. This guy completely solved the hurricane problem. So he says, look, the problem is hurricanes form when we have warm water and cold air, right?
Hmm.
So the solution is why don't we have our massive navy drop a bunch of ice cubes in the South Atlantic? Cool the water down. I mean, seriously, this is why we need to buy Greenland. If we bought Greenland, we chopped up the ice, we could take the ice down to Florida and drop it in the water, cool the water down, it would calm these hurricanes down, we'd all be better. The other problem is they have this rotation thing going on, right?
Hmm.
Well, if right when they were forming, if we just sent our Air Force to go fly around in circles the opposite direction, we could probably make an opposite wind current that would oppose this, and we wouldn't have any more hurricanes.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure that's how that works.
I think the ice plan is foolproof. Foolproof, I tell you. We
Well,
need to buy Greenland and cool the ocean down.
one of the things that I've noticed about all of this is the fact that a lot of people are saying this is due to climate change from the Industrial Revolution, somewhere in the 1950s in America. And yet, from what I understand, either Florida was uninhabited or very sparsely inhabited prior to any of this, just simply because of the fact that it got beaten and battered year after year by hurricane after hurricane when white people came to this country. I can't vet that, but I think off mic I'm going to go see if I can't vet
No,
that.
nobody lived in Florida in the 1600s. There wasn't even native populations that were large.
Well, and that's where
I
I'm
mean,
getting at because everyone knew that it was going to get beaten.
they called it Okeechobee because Okeechobee means Lake of Hell. I don't know if that's true, but an unverified source told me so. So, yeah, I mean, so you've got mosquitoes the size of hummingbirds down there, okay? You've got alligator, crocodile, whatever the bitey things are with the big giant teeth, okay? You've got crawfish that are like the size of a small cat, all right? Everything in Florida wants to kill you, including the snakes and the people.
Well,
You don't,
that was
there's
just
no,
Nicholas Cruz that wanted to kill you.
no, no. Have you ever been to Florida? Okay,
I've not.
everybody in Florida is like Joe Biden's age, 180, and they all just want you to get off their lawn and they want you to die with them.
I don't think Robert
Okay.
would appreciate you talking about him that way.
Oh, so you know we're on here?
No, but he'll hear it tomorrow morning.
I figured he was going to lose power for about 4 days, so you'd have maybe, a couple more guests on before I got on. You know what I mean? I'd be back in the stack, and he'd never get to it, is what I was hoping. He'd be too busy rebuilding his house. I don't know. Either way.
But no, it is interesting though. You're right. I mean, Florida, from what I understand, is kind of like Australia is now. You've got a few civilized areas now, but for the most part, everything else wants you dead.
I think Australia has a population of, I can't remember, I think 30 million or something like that. I'd have to look it up. And like 90% of those live in cities
Hmm.
on the coast.
Yeah.
Most of Australia is just barren wasteland, kangaroos, and some weird guys trying to fish gold out of the sand. Pretty
And
much.
spiders the size of a Labrador.
Ooh, yeah. I tell you what. Okay, now I got to look up Australia's population because I'm addicted to the internet. Australia. No. Nope, my phone just Googled Austrian death machine, which could be Australia death machine.
That
Popul
sounds like a Rammstein-esque heavy metal band.
Oh, they're fantastic if you've never heard of them.
I have not.
They're an Arnold Schwarzenegger heavy metal cover band. So one of their big songs is "Get into the chopper." It's great. I was close. They've got Australia has 25 million. So as of 2017, so it might be like 26 million now.
Yeah.
So yeah, and everybody lives on the coast. So, huh.
Well, we've got a couple topics here yet to go. Let's talk about this court packing article. I want to talk just a bit about this. I'm actually going to go into a lot more detail on this over on Friday, but this is something that I think we need to talk about here because Gillibrand and the Senate Democrats penned a few months ago a friend of the courts document, and they swear that if nothing happens with gun control, and this is before this new situation that we had down in Texas, that they're going to pack the court as soon as they have power. They're going to have 15, 17 people so that even if a Republican gets into office again, they can never take control back over the court. Now, McConnell came out just, what was it, Friday rather. McConnell came out on Friday, and he and a unanimous front of Senate Republicans came out and said, no, we are not going to let you, and we are going to fight no matter what we can to keep you from packing the court. One of the interesting things I saw about this story is that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the leftist that has swayed the court so far to the left as it was, is actually against court packing. She thinks it's the worst idea in the world. But I know this is kind of a news source, and when I first heard about it, it was from a very unverifiable news source, but I have been able to vet this story. What do you think about the idea so far?
Who impeaches a congressman?
The House of Representatives.
So, does it take 2/3 or just 50%?
It takes 50% to start the articles of impeachment. They need a two-thirds majority in the Senate, just like with the president, and then two-thirds of both houses for forced removal. It's the exact same process as the president.
And then the president just signs off or whatever. Doesn't even have any say either way.
He doesn't have any say.
So, yeah. So, I think that we might see some scary times if something like that starts going through because I'm sure the Senate. Okay, so if I don't know, who'd you say was the one that was pushing this through? Did it have a name?
Gillibrand was the one that was pushing the original threat to pack the court through.
But is there any representatives supporting this? It didn't say that, did it?
Well, the House of Representatives doesn't have any say in the process for the Supreme Court.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. You're saying the Senate said they're not going to touch it. Okay. Right.
The House of Representatives has no say in the Supreme Court process. The president appoints and the Senate confirms. Or denies.
Right. Okay. So that's where I was totally thrown off. I'm going, wait a second. We need to start some impeachment proceedings on these people who don't understand how the Constitution works. So, we've got this President Trump guy in office right now. He's probably going to be there for about 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
We can only assume.
Yeah, if 2020 keeps going the way it is.
So 2024 comes around, a Democrat wins. They say, well, we need 600 people on the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
Who's in Senate then? Do we control the Senate?
2024.
I think we do. I think that we will control the Senate in 2024.
Well, that'll depend on what happens in 2022. And 2022 is a hard year for Republicans. I've already looked at who's up for that.
I think we're going to win.
Yeah.
The reason we're going to win 2022, regardless of who's up, is because we're going to win 2020 by a narrow margin. Um, Mid-election years, I mean, like, look at 96, or not 96, 98. Okay, 98, Republicans continued. I mean, we had Gingrich, you know what I mean? But in second term of Republican presidential candidates, uh, Republicans tend to pick up seats.
Hmm.
I don't know why. It just seems to happen. First term, we get creamed. Second term, we tend to do okay. Um, I don't know. Maybe you're going to prove me wrong there, Googling that, but I believe that that's from my knowledge. That's what I remember is true. Um, no, I think we're going to be fine. I think 2024, regardless of who takes it, whether it be Eric Trump or no, that's a joke. You know who I want in 2024?
I'm
Palin.
listening.
Either Palin or Nikki Haley. Haley would be great.
Haley would be a good one. I'm on the fence about Palin right now because she's done some questionable things in the past few years in regards to Trump. But Haley, I
Do you
think,
think
would be a
that'll?
good one.
Do you think anything anybody does matters anymore, though?
To an extent. I mean, we have the internet and it's forever now, so. I mean,
Maybe. Yeah.
look at how many people hate Romney. And, I mean, according to Salt Lake City's local news aggregate, and I've got the image up here, Romney jumped on the board with this rebuttal against the Friends of the Court document, and he still can't catch a break with conservatives.
Nope. Darth Romney is.
Yeah.
He'll never catch a break.
I mean, we've got people going back 30, 40 years to go find dirt on people that they don't want to see in office, whether or not they're the best fit for it or not.
Okay, so who is king of the Latter-day Saints? I mean, apart from Jesus. But you have Glenn Beck and you have Mitt Romney. Okay? They're the kings of the Mormons right now. Now, who has more sway? I would say Beck. Okay?
That's a
And
fair
Beck
point.
did some mean and nasty things during the election and went after Trump, and everybody called him Cheeto Face and all that. But in the end, he has this sway and this leverage, and he's turned the tides, and he's flipped himself around on a complete 180. He's a huge Trump supporter now, and he says everything is good.
So I kind of
Romney
did
will
the
never.
opposite of Walsh.
Yeah, exactly. And Romney will never do that. And that's why Romney will never be in good graces with the right wing of the Republican Party ever again. He will never go back to what he believes in. He has wish-washed and flip-flopped so much that he doesn't know where he actually sits anymore. You know? So, yeah. That's my thought on Romney. He's a flip-flopper.
So you don't think we see court packing, going back to what you were saying with that before we got off on the internet is forever? You don't think it's going to happen?
No. No. Because I think everybody's scared. I think we're all afraid right now. A Republican wins, he appoints 3, 4 people.
Hmm.
Democrat wins, they appoint 3, 4 people. I mean, okay, so let's say we move it up to 11. Okay? Democrats have it by 2. Then Republican wins. They say, well, we need 17. We move it up, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
how many does High Court of England have? Isn't it like 21 or something like that?
Oh, I have no idea what parliamentary politics are like.
Yeah.
They wear
I
powdered
think
wigs in Parliament.
I think they have 20 something. And it was from the same exact thing. It was each side wanted to take power, and it kept going up and up and up.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think we'll make that mistake. I think we'll just scream at each other and be afraid that the other side will just keep increasing it radically. You know?
Well, the thing with
So,
the court right now is, I mean, Ginsburg is the last really old person on the court. I would not be surprised if the next president is a one-termer. Well, let's rephrase that. If Trump gets the next term and his successor is a one-termer, I don't think his successor appoints a justice. Aside from somebody retiring, of course. We have a relatively young Supreme Court right now, with the exception of Ginsburg.
Kagan's still on there, though, right?
Yeah.
Kagan's like, I don't know. She's had some issues in her past. I think Kagan could retire.
Possibly.
But you never know. I mean, nobody expected Scalia to die.
Are
and
we
then
putting the
Scalia
tinfoil
croaked.
on?
Yeah, well, but I mean, when Scalia died, he was fairly young. He was what, 60 something, 62 or 60 something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I could be incorrect, but 10 years from now, where's Kagan gonna be?
That's fair. I don't know.
Kagan. Okay, so Kagan is not Spencer Kagan, Supreme Court Kagan.
Elena.
Okay. Apparently, the internet knows nothing. Just so you know. Elena Kagan. Okay. So she is 59 right now.
Mm-hmm.
10 years from now, she's 70. She's, I mean, you never know. She could be in bad health. She's a little bit overweight right now. I don't know. So, I don't know. That's my analysis. I think, I don't think we're ever at a safe spot. You're never safe,
Well, and we're getting at that point, too, where women and men both are staying on the court until they die just out of spite. Not necessarily because... Not necessarily because they want to get off, but they just want to be there to make sure that the person that's in power doesn't get the appointment. I mean, why do you think Ginsburg is on there right now? She just had pancreatic cancer.
That's true. That's true. So I'm looking it up. I'm trying to see who's the oldest. Roberts is, he's 54.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even them, I don't know. I mean, we'll keep... God bless them all. Hopefully they all live forever. That's all I gotta say. 3,000 years old we're rooting for. We don't want anybody to die.
Heads in jars.
What?
Futurama, heads in jars.
Yep. We want Nixonian heads.
Well,
so, yeah, hopefully they never die, everything goes great, and we never have any problems.
Well, before we get out of here, I do want to take 1 second and move the conversation into my neck of the woods, and that's here in Wisconsin. Those of you who watch my solo videos already have seen my take on this, but I think it bears discussion as well. As most of us know, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez made an Instagram live video talking about the fact that she believed that the border camps for housing immigrants until they have their asylum hearings are concentration camps where people are drinking out of toilets. Now, we've had a couple of shootings that turned into one, a couple of debates, and some other news that have pushed this almost out of the news, but a local school board member in progressive Madison decided that she didn't want that conversation to end. And instead of saying that a border facility is a concentration camp, she has said that Madison's Juvenile Detention Center is a concentration camp.
I think everywhere is a concentration camp nowadays. I think some of these people need to go to an actual concentration camp, like where they concentrate and think about things. Because
that's a think tank, not a concentration camp.
A medical center is now a concentration camp? What are they doing? Like forcing you into a furnace? No. That's ridiculous.
Well, in juvie, too. I mean, in juvie, you can have visitors regularly. Yes, you have to do it behind the glass like you're in jail, but, I mean, there's not a set schedule like there is, and you're only in there for a few months.
No, there's a difference right here, okay? In a juvenile detention center, you have done something wrong, so they have placed you in jail. What did the Jews do wrong?
Had the wrong last name.
That was about, yeah, so apparently...
Built the economy in Germany.
Apparently, if you commit a crime and you get incarcerated, that is the same as somebody just saying, hey, we don't like you. We're going to throw you in a concentration camp forever to die. Yeah. No, 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 no. These kids are going to get out in a few years.
In a few
You're only
months,
in
not a
juvie
few
for
years.
yeah, a few months. I mean, you're not in juvie for very long at all. Even
No.
if you did commit some heinous crime,
And if
you
you
can only
committed a
be in.
heinous crime, they try you as an adult.
Yeah, 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 exactly. So I mean, that's ridiculous. They're not breaking rocks and being forced into, you know, turned into ash. Okay, it's nonsense. The Jews had it way worse. I'll tell you that right now, and I say that with the kindest heart to the Israeli people. Okay, it's ridiculous.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, actually, that people were going into the German death camps because the German people didn't like them. Because school board member Ali Muldrow took this a step further and said that the Madison Police Department and the Dane County Sheriff's Department are going inadvertently, or willingly rather, after LGBTQ students and black students at a disproportionate rate.
Because the LGBTQ are being targeted like the Armenians in the Armenian genocide,
Yeah.
right? Is that
Which,
what it is?
I don't know if you've ever been to Wisconsin. I've been to Madison. I used to work in Madison. And if anybody, especially a law enforcement officer, went after any of these people the way that Muldrow said, they would be hogtied to the back of a Prius and dragged through the Capitol Square.
It's garbage. It's all garbage.
This is progressive Dane County. That doesn't
This is-
fly.
This is why America will last forever. Okay? I got into a debate with somebody, he who shall not be named on the Discord server, about how long America will last forever. And he
Are you
says
picking
America's
on
going to...
Slattery again?
Oh, yeah. So America's going to collapse in the next 10 to 20 years or whatever he says. Like any minute, we're all going to die. We're all going to fall off a roof and break our ankle. I don't know. Okay? We're like at the peak of civilization right now. We're not only the strongest nation in the world, we are the strongest nation ever in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we went to war with ourselves from 1980, we would kick our own ass. Okay? And that's not saying, oh yeah, the people have problems. We are so united as a country toward the same goal, which is winning,
Mm-hmm.
that we don't even know it. And that's why we're fighting so hard against each other. Because we all want to win. Okay? Some of the longest lasting marriages I've ever seen are between people who argue daily.
That is a fair point, because the second time I was engaged, there was never an argument, and I couldn't stand to be around her anymore.
Yeah, you give up.
Yeah.
You don't have something to fight for. And we're sitting there fighting with each other. But that's okay. So, World War II. Rommel is in North Africa, right?
Mm-hmm.
McCarthy, was it McCarthy or Patton? I can't remember. One of them was in North Africa and took his soldiers along the front lines, and 80% of his troops died. But the 20% that remained got stronger, and they gained reinforcements, and they went back into battle, and 80% of those new people died again. Okay? But now we have that 20 plus the new 20. And those armies got stronger and stronger and stronger.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because they're battle hardened.
Right.
Okay? So, when some Antifa punk is rioting in the streets of Portland, all right, and some good old country boy who's a member of the Proud Boys drove his 1972 Buick, okay, to go confront him, and it's covered in black spray paint and tinfoil as armor, all right? Okay, if we're ever invaded by, like, Canada or China or anywhere, they better be watching out because we are battle hardened here in the U.S. We will turn on them. Like, I mean, seriously, okay? So the debate is, would Antifa support our enemy in a war against us? Would they?
I don't think they would.
I don't think they would either. I think that they hate Trump, and I think they might protest the war. It'd be like Vietnam. We'd all be protesting. But you're not going to have mountain rebels poisoning the system like we see in other countries. You see,
Yeah.
I think that our people, amid our diversity, will still stay strong. I think that we have our disagreements, but for the most part, they're surface disagreements. Um, I talked to a Californian lady the other day who apologized to me because my punk 5-year-old hit her dog with a stick. So she apologized to me. Like, I'm so sorry your dog or your kid's stick was, hitting my dog. Like, what? It's like when Dick Cheney shot that lawyer in the face and he comes out and does an apology to her. Okay? But my point is, I don't hate that lady for that. I may mock her and say, man, that's so stupid. She should have been mad at my punk kid for hitting her dog with a stick. Okay? Because I was. I disciplined him and I said, don't hit dogs with sticks. That's just a general rule, regardless of whether it's a liberal dog or not, So that's that. It doesn't matter. You don't hit him with a stick. And her take on it was totally different than mine. But that doesn't mean that I wouldn't stand next to her and defend her rights. And I guarantee she'd stand next to me and defend my rights. Now, she was like in her late 60s, so I don't know how much standing she'll be doing for much longer. But enough about Robert's generation. I think that we'll be fine.
Yeah. And
I think that
the thing about it too is, I mean, we were getting to the breaking point in the late 90s and the early 2000s. And then what happened? I mean, it's terrible what happened on 9/11, but what did you see right after that? A great unity of the American people.
Yep.
We were all friends again.
So Vietnam, I mean, the race riots of California.
Yeah.
Like, the race riots. We literally had Koreans on roofs shooting other American citizens.
Yes.
Okay? We went to war with each other in the Civil War and killed 600,000 of our friends and families. And we remained a country.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, we've been through this. We've seen trouble and strife. 15 years ago, or 10, 15 years from now, the Antifa riots in Portland, most people don't even know they're going on right now. And we have the internet. Right? Mm-hmm. When the Rodney King riots were going on, everybody knew about them. And we didn't have jack. We had like some guy with a newspaper who called his friend and sent a carrier pigeon. All right? Like, that's what we had, and everybody in the country knew about it because it was a big deal. These Antifa riots, you can talk to everybody knows who Antifa is, but they don't know what's going on. They don't know any of the details. They don't know, was it Andy Go or No, or how do you say his name? NGO?
Yeah, we'll go with
B-I-N-G-O?
Yeah.
Yeah. However you say Andy NGO, his name. I'm just gonna call him NGO. He's not a household name.
No.
Okay? But he was beaten in the streets on camera and laughed at and mocked, and people threw slushies at it, or was it Burger King shakes at him? Maybe not him, but the other guys that were with him. And that was just a mock because apparently we like to throw Burger King milkshakes. It's juvenile. And it will heal. It'll go away. And this generation will grow up. We'll be fine. But we've all been taught that we're gifted. You're special, Ed.
I know.
No, but we've been taught.
Yeah, no, I
Everybody's
understand.
Special. Everybody's special. And as soon as everybody realizes they're not freaking special, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll probably end up in some war with like I don't know. Uh, Who would we go to war with? Probably not Iran or China. Could be like a Cold War style.
North
Would
Korea,
definitely
maybe.
wouldn't be North Korea. Nah, I'm thinking like Venezuela.
We want those
I
spicy
think that
resources.
I think that we might end up with some third world unknown, like Morocco or somebody, you know? I think we'll end up with Boko Haram sprouting up in Africa, and we're like, well, we need to invade them. Okay? So, because we'll need some sort of little skirmish to get us by. But it'll happen. It's just the cyclical nature of things. We fight with each other, then we decide to fight with somebody else. And we never fight with somebody who's going to destroy us because we are the biggest military. And yeah, I don't know. That'd be too much fun, I guess. That's a joke. I know there's people out there going to be like, he thinks war is fun. That evil curmudgeon. No. But
Hey, there are
yeah,
neocons out there that think that.
there are. I mean, I don't know. If we like went to war with like Denmark, that'd be kind of fun. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, do they have a military?
Yes.
Do
NATO
they?
military, but
Oh, well, that doesn't count. We own NATO. We kick them out of NATO. We buy Greenland. Then we terminate the sale halfway through and just take it over instead. Then we have an endless supply of ice to cool the South Atlantic. And Florida booms economically because they have no hurricanes.
you heard it here first.
That's what needs to happen. There you go. Hey, stop fighting cats. Your cat's fighting over here.
Cat fight.
Yep. Cat fight. I do. Talking about aggressive military action, and my cats are like, well, let's wrestle.
Well,
So,
to close this out, it appears that Muldrow has apologized amid backlash from the newspapers and the sheriff's department, who are supposed to be in the Democrats and the school board's pocket. But she has not taken her post down at this point. I just checked again earlier today. It is still up there. So,
what's her name?
Ellie Muldrow. It was a Facebook
Does
post.
she have a Twitter?
She does, but it's not on there.
Oh, because I don't do Facebook because they say I'm Russian.
Hmm.
They don't like me. Yep. Well, I guess that's all I gotta say then, Ed. We're gonna be fine. All these people thinking it's the end of the world, they're insane. It's not the end of the world. Life is good.
Well, before we close the show, I always ask the same question to my guests, and you've answered this question a few times before, but since politics is such a divisive thing and we have so many internal wars right now, even though we're all going to be fine, we still need a break from everything. So tell us about a hobby that you have that helps you unwind and helps you stay positive on everything. It could be an album that you've been listening to, a project you're working on, a new video game you tried, just something that you do to try and help you unwind at the end of the day.
Well, I went camping last weekend. That was kind of fun. Caught a bunch of crawdads, had a crawfish boil. Tell you what, I'll tell you guys my super secret, don't tell anybody recipe. Okay, so you take a can of Coca-Cola. None of that generic Big K garbage. You need real Coca-Cola, you know. And you pour that into a pot with a little bit of garlic, like garlic powder. The real garlic kind of gets all chunky and gross, so garlic powder works best. A pinch of salt, and then bring it to a boil. You know, maybe top it off with a little bit of water when it starts getting low. Then you drop your crawdads in live, and it's fantastic. So, yeah, anyway, so that was my weekend. I spent it catching crawdads. We probably caught 100 or 200 the first night, and the next night we caught a couple of big baskets full and ended up tossing them back because my kid said he liked them too much. So, yeah, he's a weird he's like, man, I really want to eat these things, but I also want to throw them back in the water. Yeah, what you get for living in Montana. So, anyway, so I've been doing that, camping a lot. I don't really have many after work hobbies because I never like get off work. I'm always working, doing something. But whether it be with Freedom Scoop or designing T-shirts for Freedom Scoop, hey, get this. We have that one Hurricane Dorian. You guys need to go buy them. So I believe they're on sale right now at $22.99. But all the profits go to the hurricane relief. Use the code JEDGAR for 15% off. Live, active right now. So I gotta plug it. I think that's going to be going till the end of the month at least. So yeah.
Well, it's the third of the month for all of our listeners right now, so they've got plenty of time.
Plenty of time. Plenty of time.
And thanks for
coming. It's early morning, so you have all the way till tonight to buy it. So hurry up.
And thanks for coming on the show, talking about the news with me, and thanks to the audience for joining us to talk about the news of the week, even though it was a slow news week. If you'd like to finish the conversation with me, make sure you head on over and hit me up over at Twitter. That is at EdsBlockTwitter with a 1 in place of the I. I'm also over on Minds, Gab, Facebook. I've got my own little Discord server I'm starting to set up here. There's many ways to contact me. We'll get the conversation going. If you want to finish the conversation with Jake, tell us where they can find you.
You can find me over there at Ed's blog Twitter no, I'm just joking. At Real Jake 1776 on Twitter, or at Scoop of Freedom on Twitter as well. We have an Instagram and a Gab and all those social media accounts too. But yeah, just find me on Twitter because that's what we're most active on. Also go to freedomscoop.com. Check us out. We're launching a new store. Probably in the next month or so. We're hoping to get the Android app out. We'll have more products. I think we only have a couple released on the store right now, but big improvements. So our load time on our website's been cut in half. So I'm going to do an analysis on all of the people that have interacted with Freedom Scoop. Get some statistics and some numbers for the last year coming up here. Yeah, get on there, check it out. We will be in contact. Be in touch.
And once again, if you liked what you saw, and everything that Jake just mentioned is going to be linked in the description below, but as you're scrolling by to go and get those links, you've just scrolled by that like button and that subscribe button. So why don't you hit those? That helps us move up the charts. That helps YouTube and BitChute know what people should be watching and helps them to recommend what people should be watching. If you are over on iTunes, please leave us that 5-star rating and a good review. That helps us move up the charts. And remember, we are also available on Google Play Podcasts and Stitcher. This show, along with many other great shows, are available on freedomscoop.com. As Jake just mentioned, go over there, get yourself some merchandise, check out this show, check out some of our friends' great shows. And if you are interested in writing for Freedom Scoop, hit me up, edsblogtwitter@gmail.com. Let me know. Let me know if it's somebody else you want me to reach out to, and we will see if we can get you published. As we always say on this show, never take the words of bloggers, podcasters, or journalists as gospel. Find all the facts and draw your own conclusions. Jake, you have last word.
Sayonara, suckers.
Take care.